Okay, good day, grade 10. And so this is going to be the video lecture for chapter 10. So this will be divided into two. So this is the first half, and then next week I'm going to discuss the second half during our synchronous period. Okay. So before we begin, and so the title of our discussion today is about understanding the genetic material. So we all know that here everyone is unique. Okay, so lahat tayo may kanya-kanyang distinct characteristics. So not every one of us is the same. So each and every one of us is unique. So there are certain features in our body that is uniquely yours only. So for example, the fingerprint that you have. So the fingerprint can be used to can be used to identify you, di ba? So when you go and stamp your fingerprint for, let's say, for example, when you vote, and so, or for other biometrics, so not tawag dito, um, there are no two people who have the same fingerprint or something like that. So it's just one of the ways that we can tell that we are unique. Okay, so and there are times that we can also have the traits of our parents. So we are a combination of our parents. So for example, I for myself, I am a combination of my mother and father's traits. So my mother is ano yun? Mas maliit. So doon ko naman sa nanay ko yon. And then for my father is fair skin. So yung mali. So yung tatay ko, yun yung mas kayumanggi kaysa sa nanay ko. So mas maputi yung nanay ko kaysa sa tatay ko. So ako, combination ako ng nanay at tatay ko. Yun, yung ate ko naman, yan. So siya naman yung mas matangkad kasi mas matangkad si Papa. Tapos siya naman yung mas maputi kasi yun yung namanan niya kay Mama. Ayan. And ayan. Pero it's just how we know that genetic material can be passed down from one generation to another. Diba? If you can recall, if you can observe pala rather, that in your family, there's a certain trait that is continuously seen in your family. So for example, there are a family of people who have curly hair. Yan. So, merong mga ganong families. Or merong family na may dimples. Yan. So, napapasa natin yan. But how does these traits are being passed down? Parang pangit. Paano ba napapasa yung mga um, traits na yan? So, first, let us discuss one and ayan, so one part of our body. So, this is the nucleic acid. So, the nucleic acid is one of the biomolecules that we have in our body. So, when you go into senior high, you're going to discuss all of the other biomolecules, or baka i-discuss din pala natin sa chem. Anyway, and so first you have the nucleic acid. So the nucleic acid's function is for the storage of genetic information. So lahat ng mga traits na meron tayo ay nakastore sa nucleic acid. Okay, so it is the physical carrier of inheritance. So yung mga traits natin nasa nucleic acid. And so it carries the code for the formation of specific proteins because of the in the nucleic acid. Ayan, so it could meron kasi tayong dalawang klaseng nucleic acid na i-discuss natin later. So the code, yan yung code na sinasabi. So yan yung nagdidikta sa kung ano yung nangyayari sa buong katawan. And in our body, the proteins are needed to carry out bodily function. So that's why the nucleic acid is very important because of the proteins that it carries. So these proteins are needed in our body. And the nucleic acid is composed of these elements. So it's composed of carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen, and phosphorus. So these are the the atoms, the elements that can be found in the nucleic acid. Okay? Yan. So, our nucleic acid has building blocks called nucleotides. So, para makabuo tayo ng nucleic acid, meron tayong building blocks para magbuo siya. So, the nucleotide is the building block of the nucleic acid. So, yung two types of nucleic acid natin, meron siyang mga nucleotides. And these are the common parts of the nucleotide. So this is how it looks like here and here. And so first we have the phosphate group, we have the nitrogenous base, and ayun, wait lang. And hello. Hi. Anyway, ayan. So again, I would like to repeat that the nucleotide is composed of these three parts: the phosphate group, the nitrogenous base, and the 5-carbon sugar. So, we have different types of nitrogenous bases. So, meron tayong, i-discuss din natin yung mga nitrogenous bases. And these nitrogenous bases pair up with each other. So, i-discuss din natin yan later on. Okay, so this is the DNA. So this is one of the this is one of the nucleic acids that we have. And so as you can see, we have here the phosphate. This is how actually the nucleic acid looks like. And so we have the phosphate group at the outer part. And yung nakita nyo na letter P. And then we have the S here, that is the 5-carbon sugar. And the one here at the middle, the one that you can see here, those are the nitrogenous bases that can actually pair up, bond with the other one so that we can form these double helix of the DNA. So ito, yan, yung guanine, adenine, thymine, and cytosine. So those are the nitrogenous bases of the DNA. Okay, so now let us go look at the two types of nucleic acid. So we have the DNA and the RNA. So DNA stands for deoxyribonucleic acid and RNA stands for ribonucleic acid. Okay? So ito yung dalawang nucleic acid natin na nagpapagana ng ating katawan. So what does the DNA do? So the DNA contains the genetic information used in developing and functioning of all known living organisms. So, ayun. So, yung genetic information stored in DNA, so that is the one being passed down so that when an offspring is made, the combination of the traits will show what will the new individual will look like, yung offspring. Okay? So, syempre, aside from the genetic material, all of the other processes that happen in the body also comes from the nucleic acid. Yeah. So, next, RNA. So, RNA is the ribonucleic acid. It catalyzes biological reaction. So, when you say catalyze, it starts. Okay, so RNA also has a big role, although it's usually overshadowed by DNA, but the RNA is also very important. Okay, so hindi magaganap yung mga processes kapag walang RNA, lalo na kapag binasa nyo na yung tatlong klase ng RNA. Yan. So, aside from catalyzing biological reactions, they also control and modulate gene expression. And so, later on, you will know the importance of RNA when we discuss the central dogma. And so sensing and communicating responses to cellular signals. So that is the role of the RNA. One thing to note about the two types of nucleic acid is that the DNA has a double helix. So it has a pair. And we have two strands for DNA that combine together. So meron tayong double helix. For RNA, it's just a single strand. Okay, so pag pinag-aralan na rin natin yung sa central dogma, maiintindihan nyo din kung bakit single strand lang ang RNA. Yan. So, as you can see here in the side, you can see the nitrogenous bases. So actually, the ones that you can see with the two rings, yung may dalawang ring, and so you have your guanine and adenine, and so for both DNA and RNA, we have guanine and adenine. The two rings are called the pyrimidines. Okay, pyrimidines ang tawag sa kanila. Hindi pala nakalagay yun dito. So this is the spelling of pyrimidine. Wait lang. Yan. So, itong dalawa ay ayan. Pyrimidine. Yan. So, yan yung two rings. Kapag may two rings, pyrimidine yung nitrogenous base natin. So, meron tayong dalawang pyrimidine, the guanine and the adenine for both DNA and RNA. As for the single ring nitrogenous bases such as cytosine for both, again, we have the classification of our nitrogenous bases. So we have the pyrimidine with two rings. I think na-annotate ko siya kanina, pero let's just annotate it again. Yan. Pyrimidine, two rings. And we also have the purine. Yeah, so that is what you call the nitrogenous bases with one ring only. Okay? Ayan. Naway ma-take note nyo na to. Ayan. So we have the pyrimidine with two rings. So meron tayong guanine and adenine for our pyrimidine. Ayan. And we have purine as our one ring. Okay, so actually, these nitrogenous bases pair up with each other. So, meron tayong mnemonic. So, di ba meron tayong, actually, CG, so cytosine always pairs up with guanine. And so, to remember that, the car goes in the garage. Car goes to the garage. CG. Yeah, so, yan yung isang way para maalala yan. Another combination is we have the adenine pairing with thymine. So, yan. Adenine pairs with thymine as always. So, apple goes to the tree. Yan, para mas matandaan nyo yan. But what if we are in the DNA, we're not using the DNA, we have the RNA. We don't have thymine in RNA, so adenine pairs with uracil. So, to remember that, apple goes under the tree. Ayan. So, okay? So, para maalala nyo sila. Okay. Cytosine, guanine, adenine, thymine, and uracil. So, sila yung mga magkakapartner. Okay? Ayan. So, annotate ko lang saglit. And so, okay. So, we have C pairs with G, and then we have A pairs with T or U. Okay? So, ito yung pairing ha. Yan. So, laging ganyan yung pairing ng ating nucleic acid. Okay? Yan. So, now let's go to the location of the genes. So we all know that in our body, we have a lot of cells, and in our cells, we have a nucleus. So the nucleus contains the chromosome. So if you remember what we have been discussing last year, and so the nucleus contains the chromosome. And the chromosome, as you can see here, if you look closely at the chromosome, those are the DNA strands that we have. And when you look closely in the DNA, ayan, so at the nitrogenous base, nandun sa nitrogenous base natin, ayan, so doon nakalagay yung genes natin. Okay? And so as you can see here, yan, when you look closely, the genes are inside the DNA. So again, the nucleus contains the chromosome contains the DNA, and the DNA contains the genes. Okay? So, yun yung pagkakasunod-sunod niya. So, ano nga ba ang genes? So, genes is the segment of DNA that serves as the operating code for a trait. So, again, as you can see here, yung traits na kunwari yung musically inclined or yung may astigmatism or yung may, tawag dito, curly hair, straight hair, wavy hair, or brown eyes, black eyes. And so, nakalagay yung traits na yon dyan sa genes. Okay? So, we have complementary base pairing. So, it's the linking of paired nucleotides via a hydrogen bond. Okay? So, naka-hydrogen bond yung ating mga nucleotides. Okay? Yung nitrogenous bases, sila yung nagkakaroon ng hydrogen bond para magkaroon ng connection yung dalawang nucleotide. So, kumbaga, in a pair, yan. So, for DNA, kailangan meron tayong dalawang nucleotide na may hydrogen bond sa gitna. Okay? So, parang, ayun, ito nga yun. Ito yung hydrogen bond, yun nasa gitna. So, syempre, it's a string. So, kailangan tuloy-tuloy lang siya. Yan, mahaba siya. Okay? Ayan. So, ayan. So, this is the pinaka mahirap na part. And so it's not found in your textbook yung word na central dogma, pero that is actually what is discussed in your textbook, the central dogma of molecular biology. So, ayan, so the central dogma of molecular biology describes the process of passing down the genetic information. Okay, so we have here three processes that happen. So first we have DNA replication. So DNA replication happens inside the nucleus because the DNA strand is very precious. It's very precious that it cannot go outside of the nucleus. So that's why it has to make a copy. Again, what happens in replication is that a copy of the DNA is made. So from an old strand of DNA, we're going to make a new strand of DNA. Okay? So, meron tayong original strand tsaka copy strand ng DNA. Okay, so that is what happens in replication. So, the next thing that happens is transcription. So, from the new strand of DNA formed from the replication of the original strand, there's going to be transcription to RNA. Okay? So from DNA to RNA, we can get an RNA strand that is going to complement the original DNA strand. Okay, kasi nga 'di ba complementary base pairing sila. So what's going to happen next is that there's going to be transcription from DNA to RNA. So the RNA is actually the one that's going to carry the information outside of the nucleus. So that's why transcription happens inside the nucleus. So again, replication happens inside the nucleus. Transcription also happens inside the nucleus. And the result is not a DNA strand, but an RNA strand. Okay? So after transcription, and so the RNA, which is able to go outside of the nucleus, is going to go outside and into the ribosome. Okay, we all know, if you recall your grade 7 and grade 7 biology, that the ribosome is the place where proteins are produced. So the RNA is going to travel from the nucleus, outside of the nucleus, and then into the ribosome to carry the information from the nucleus. Kasi the DNA cannot go outside. Okay? Kasi baka masira siya. So kaya, gumagawa ng kopya, tapos yung gumagawa ng kopya ng DNA, tapos yung kopya ng DNA, itatranscribe sa RNA para dala-dala na niya yung information. Okay? And then the RNA is going to deliver the information to the ribosome And of course, that's going to translate into the creation of a protein. Okay? So, I'm going to Ayan, so I'm going to stop here, and then there will be two videos also uploaded in RL Links. YouTube videos din siya. Um, so those videos will describe replication, transcription, and translation. Okay. So, pero I will discuss it again on Monday. Ayan. Okay, so and go and watch the two other videos, and then see you on Monday. Goodbye, grade 10.